we move on to the most important part of the week. And Jerry also always comes in with the sort of like dulcet tones, and Warren shouts it. I'm just going to be kind of like middle of the road. I'm just going to say it's time for Indie of the Week. There we go. Boom. Fantastic. Didn't do anything snazzy. I just went straight for it.
Excite.
There we go. Yeah, excited.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. It's because Indie of the Week has become such a staple of what we do that we don't need to make it. We don't need to shout it from the rafters. It's just part of it.
You want to give it some gusto.
Yeah, I suppose. Especially for this one. All right. It's Indie of the Week.
Now you're talking.
And no one could
You just
that,
hit
probably.
puberty at that moment.
It's Indie of the Week.
Indie of the Week. There you go.
And we'll just cut out which was the best version of that, and we'll stick that in. There we go.
Oh no, the community gets to vote. Straw poll below.
Yeah, it'll probably be
you're missing out, mate.
my puberty-based version. There we go. But anyway, this time around, we're going to be looking at a very indie project that we have talked about on the weekender before. I think it was sort of middle of last year, maybe even earlier than that. We dived into this project, which is called Trench Crusade, which was originally created through the artwork of Mike Franchina, who'd been doing amazing stuff for this and developing up this fantastic world of heaven and hell, heretics and Templars battling it out in the First World War period, or sort of just after as well. And where the entire world has been sort of taken over by huge trenches and massive fortifications, and there are armies of good and evil smashing against each other on massive crusades, armed with all the sort of modern weaponry of World War One. Well, at least at the time, anyway. Well, this has now expanded, and Mike Franchina, who we can actually check out his ArtStation page because it is phenomenal. Obviously ignore the Path of Exiles 2 logo, but a lot of the other stuff that you see there is just a taster of the stuff that has been worked on for this. As I said, when we looked at this, I think it was last year, the artwork was just blowing us away, and the ideas that they were sort of diving into. There was also a Kickstarter last year as well, where a couple of the initial models were sort of created for this, alongside James Sherrif. And just as you can see, the imagery for this is totally grimdark, totally weird. It's like a little bit of a cross between sort of like an Elden Ring and a World War One game, which I think is perfect.
Yeah, it's very happy down there.
John, I see you're looking at this soldier's particular peculiarities for souvenirs.
Yeah. He's definitely interested in blowing himself up and whatever this is, and decapitation.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it out loud because it's just opens too many cans of worms.
I love all the like stuff that's sort of built into the armor and things. Like you've got the sort of icon on the shoulder there as well, which is obviously kind of like harking back to a saint or something as well, which I think is really nice. But the work by Mike has been phenomenal, and it's been really fun seeing the mixture of kind of that medieval Templar aesthetic brought up into that kind of First World War era, and sort of mixing all of that together. It's something that a lot of people have been enjoying in games like Turnip 28 and Sludge, which kind of mix together that kind of black powdery stuff with medieval. This kind of takes it that next step and goes into kind of World War One, which I think is really cool. And then, I mean, that is basically like just a great opportunity to show off exactly what the game is. It's religion and massive guns.
Religion, guns, and mud.
Exactly, yeah.
My three favorite things.
Yeah.
And all of those graves as well. Oh, it's so grimdark.
I do love the concept that, yes, we must have holy icons, but let's at least also make it useful.
It's dystopian in its evocativeness. Like it's very much a we're religious, but right now this is a battlefield. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah, we need to budge this together.
Yeah. So obviously, as you can see here, Mike's been working on this game for a while and creating the universe behind it. And James Sherrif helped, obviously, as I said, with the initial models that came out for this, the kind of previews. But Tuomas Pirinen, who is the original creator of Mordheim, which is obviously a massive favorite for a lot of people, then came on board to offer his services as a rules writer for this. And over the last couple of months, Trench Crusade has been growing and growing behind the scenes, and people have been working on it in beta form and everything like that. as part of their Discord and part of their community. And now you can dive in and get yourself a set of quick start rules and also their full playtest rules for Trench Crusade. So if you're looking to maybe give it a shot at your local club, or maybe you're diving into playing it in more depth and sort of exploring the game and the world in a little bit more detail, then you can do that as part of this, which I think is pretty awesome. The game itself is based on a on a dice pool mechanic, as it were. So what you're doing is you're going to be rolling 2 dice, and then you're going to be using that to refer to a particular action success chart, as you can see there. 2 to a 6 is a failure, 7 to 11 is success, and then 12 plus will add you a critical success. The dice pool element comes in that certain characters or troops will have particular special abilities, or they'll have an affinity for either shooting or combat or something, and that will add dice to the pool. And then what you'll do is you'll choose the highest or the lowest from those, depending on whether or not you're going to be adding dice to that pool or taking away from it, as it were, which I think is quite cool. Damage and stuff in the game is then tracked by a pretty gnarly chart. So there's no like kind of hit points for characters, as it were. Instead, what happens is that when you dive into the game, you do damage through attacks, you will either take a minor hit, which will sort of just put a blood marker on you. You'll be down, so you'll be smacked to the ground, which will be very familiar with people who've played more time in the past. I have had many Middenheimers pushed onto their face and dragged through the mud. God damn you. Stupid elves.
Stupid racist elves.
Stupid racist elves. Oh my God, we got another Jerryism in there.
It's the Jerry in training.
Yeah. Or you can just be taken out of action straight away, just absolutely blasted off the field of battle, which I think is fantastic and very brutal and awesome.
Nothing but jam.
Yeah, just a big smear. Interestingly, talking of smears, what you'll also add is a blood marker to a particular model when they take damage. That blood marker is then used to add minuses to characters when they continue to fight. So it's almost like pin markers, I guess, in bolt action, where it'll kind of make a unit worse over time. So even if there is something that's really big and tough and nasty, you can sort of wear it down with blood markers and do more minuses to it to try and sort of take it out. I think it's quite cool.
Or the hand of God might just go, yeah, no, you pip the post, you've got it. One shot, one kill.
Yeah. The other thing that's really nice about it as well is that you can also have blessings. Who would have thought there are blessings in a game that includes heretics and Templars? And that will do the opposite. So that will give you pluses to your dice pool when you're taking actions. With the game as it stands at the moment, they have 2 factions for you to choose from. So there are the heretic legions, which we're looking at here, or you can go down the other route and you can pick up, I just need to find the name of it because I've the Trench Pilgrims. And within those, there are then 2 variants for both of these sets of these warbands. So you can go down the route of doing just sort of like your basic heretics, or you can do a naval raiding party version. So it's kind of like your seamen and your sailors sort of charging up beaches and things, probably blood-covered beaches, obviously.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can go down the route, and this is a really cool one. The heretics also have the trench ghosts. So these are the troopers or characters that have died in battle, and they are sort of halfway between the world of the living and the world of the dead, and they kind of like raid around the trenches trying to like take everything they can and steal saintly relics and everything else in between. On the Templar side of things, you've obviously got Templary style characters and stuff. What's quite interesting is the Trench Pilgrim side of thing is that it's meant to be made up of, as you'd imagine, sort of pilgrims and peasants and sort of soldiers who don't necessarily have that much of a fighting style. And so they're kind of just thrown at the enemy in sort of endless waves to try and take the brunt of the damage while the big knights and the Templars do the actual work, which would make a lot of sense.
Right. So are we playing with Russian Orthodox?
Well, there is a little bit of that in there as well.
Makes sense.
What's also quite nice, and you will have seen a little bit as John was going through some of the different characters and things, is that everything has their own little special rules. They have their own abilities and things like that. Like, for example, there is a wild character called the Pilgrim Communicant who just has a cross nailed to his face. And he's just this sort of like bodyguard that sort of marches through the battlefield. Also, if you go to that next page, you'll see that just these blood-covered stigmatic nuns running around with Mausers. I think it was a Mauser. Is that a Mauser? Yeah.
Mausers.
Mauser, yeah. Just gunning people down, covered in armor, and yet covered in blood at the same time. I mean, it's insane.
There's one I saw, the heretic priest, that appears to have an ability where he's just like, "Oh, you come here," and you get to move them. So it's just like activate him, have him draw someone out of a trench. It's just like, "Okay, boys, get him."
Yeah. See, I don't want to say it too loudly, right? But this is what Repentia should always be.
Yes. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
fair.
This is what Repentia should always be.
Yeah.
They don't need
definitely.
hot pants.
Yeah, it looks like there's a flagellant above there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
There's
about that.
even a character in the Heretics called the Bomb Witch. And as you might imagine, they're a witch who can bring bombs down on the battlefield by using their curses, which is just mad.
I mean, does the Air Force in this game literally just like pull a lever and all the bombs, they're just like made as crucifixes?
It's the curse of Semtex. You got to draw it right, and then just a bag of Semtex, just
exactly. Yeah, perfect.
So it just reads front toward enemy or friends.
Front towards whoever.
Yeah, everyone is enemies in the eyes of God. Yeah,
you are CC'd in on this explosion.
This general direction, please.
Yeah. What's quite nice about the game as well is obviously there's all these amazing evocative pieces of artwork that Mike's been working on for this, and that really lends into the kit bashing side of things. That's the communicant with the cross nailed to his face. So cool. So the idea is that there's no specific model range yet, but you're sort of asked to kind of dive in and sort of explore all the different kits that are available out there. Maybe looking at stuff that maybe people have been playing around with for things like the War Transformed or the Doomed and stuff, and using those same kind of kits to create your weird and wacky. Wacky makes it sound way nicer than it actually is. But
that's a Warhammer-esque style weapon with a acetylene burner on it.
Yeah,
yes.
Blowtorch hammer.
I am making one of those because
I'm on board with this.
I'm on board with this.
The game is kind of scaled to 32mm, but obviously you could play with 28mm heroic stuff because it's basically the same thing at the moment. And your warband is made of kind of between 10 to 30 models, so it's not a massively large amount of models that you're trying to be kit bashing for this. It's kind of one of these games that you'll sort of dive into as a labor of love almost. The actual gaming size for tables is 4x4 or 3x3. So they've been designed so that you can just dive in and play on kitchen tables and stuff, which is great. And in true Mordheim-y fashion, who would have thought it with Pirinen involved? The idea is that you absolutely saturate the tabletop with terrain. So you have loads of big pieces of terrain, lots of deep trenches filled with bodies and blood and skulls and everything else between. And just it's all about kind of movement and all that kind of stuff, especially because the game is so deadly based on the sort of dice mechanics and stuff that they've thrown into the mix, which was quite cool. Another thing that I really liked, and it's something that I think more games should do, and I think more games are looking to do more in their rules as they kind of bring out expansions and stuff, is things like the glorious deeds that you see there. So there's obviously the main objective and the main victory condition for your games, but the glorious deeds are kind of additional things that you can do to gain victory points. So you can dive in, and if you maybe like capture certain areas of land, or if you take out a leader character, or if you assassinate into certain generals and things like that.
My favorite is suicidal bravery.
Yeah. It's very cool.
You know what we have to do, John? We have to get you like a Mark 1 and you have to religify it.
That would be cool.
Okay.
I love that John's just on board. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board for this. This is cool. I like it.
He gets to play with the tank. He's happy.
Yeah.
Just leave him alone.
No, I'm liking that it's for a 4x4. It's a small game. It doesn't want you to just go completely buck mad with stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a bit. It has a similar feel to the Doomed.
Yeah.
In a way where you're creating your own warband and going nuts with it. But
your own particular cult or something.
Yeah. They both have different flavors to them, but they're both of the same kind of DNA, and I like that.
Yeah. It feels like it's a game that was very much born out of last year's like kit bashing mentality that a lot of people had, and as you say, was a part of basically every game that came out last year.
Yeah. But I mean, some of the designs in this, it's all horrifying. So you could be playing two Pilgrim sets together, and it's just like, are they heretic? Are they not? Not sure, so going to shoot anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing that I love about this. It has that really fun aesthetic to it that I think will really get people's design ideas and juices flowing. And the game itself sounds really fun. It's very quick and easy to get your head around the base mechanics. The detail is then just built into the way that weapons work and how particular characters work. But because it's just a simple dice pool, and the way that you hit and then damage characters is very easy to get your head around. I think this could be one of those games that is played a lot at like events and stuff like that, and it's really great for obviously taking that next step and turning into a campaign game and stuff, which I assume they will be looking to do as well in the future, which would be quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, for us, John, we could take one of our old trench boards and just like dirty it down a lot, take it from desert to mud and blood.
Yeah, could do. Wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. I will say, as I was mentioning earlier, there's no official model range for the game, but a lot of individuals have started coming on board with this because obviously it's got, the artwork of Franchina behind it, and James Sherrif is involved in the miniature side of things and the layout, and Pirinen's doing the rules, so everyone's excited to see what they do next. But a particular sculptor who we have looked at in the past as part of our 3D printing is the Shiz, is Saint Decent, who is going to be working on a collection of interesting models for this as well. So anyone who's looked at her work before has known that she does really fun and quirky knights, and has done stuff for the likes of Turnip 28 and games of that ilk and Sludge. Very much inspired by kind of like your sort of Elden Ringy Dark Souls characters and things like that, with a little bit of historical thrown into the mix as well. But if you scroll down just a little bit, John,
I see a penguin.
Oh no. Where are the other images? Oh, no. God.
What have you done?
Wait a second. I'll find you an image. I'll share it with you.
Maybe just click the little back arrow.
Maybe that will work. Yes.
You're on X. See where it says Saint Decent? There's a little back arrow.
Oh no. Give me screen sharing abilities, John.
You already have it, Ben. Take over. Take control.
You're a co-host for this very moment. I'm going to stop sharing.
You're sitting there going, my time to shine.
Here we go.
Here we
go. Right. So if we go to this one, boom, and we share, you should be able to see this.
Bit of thingy stuff.
There you go.
Can you see my screen now? And
yes.
So, Saint Decent, obviously, has been working on a bunch of stuff, as we saw, but this is what she showed off recently. So this is one of the multi-part Heretic Legionnaires for Trench Crusade that she has been working on, which I think looks amazing, and as you can see, is very in line with the artwork that we were seeing before. And
I mean, who doesn't need a pistol with a drum mag?
Exactly. Other creators, I mean to say, have also been getting involved in this. So this is from Tiny Factory Studio. So that big hulking dude that we saw in the artwork as part of the book, that's getting turned into a miniature as well, which I think is really cool. And it's really nice to see the sense of scale between them as well. So that's one of Saint Decent's models on the left there. And then you've got those huge dudes rocking around the battlefield as well. It's pretty insane.
Yes, with Jerry Can flamethrowers.
Yeah. So obviously a lot of cool stuff coming our way when it comes to Trench Crusade for people to dive into and have some fun with. Make sure to go and check out those quick start rules. And basically get in on this indie before it becomes a big thing. You could be one of those people, one of those cool hipsters who goes, I liked Trench Crusade before it was cool. I built my warband before the game even came out.
Yeah, you know how hipsters like their coffee, Ben?
I think I know what it's going to be. It's going to be, I played Trench Crusade before War Games Atlantic made the plastics.
Fair. Yeah. I was actually going to suggest some of their stuff would be good for it.
Oh, yeah, it would be amazing for it, definitely. Especially alongside some of the 3D printed stuff that they did for the Doomed and things like that, and the War Transformed. Yeah.
But even their Eisenkern, you could convert that down quite a bit.
Oh,
because they've got that German-esque feel that's a little bit sci-fi, but still with some of the World War I aspects in there.
I just need to send a very quick message to Charlie to remind him how much I love him.
But there we go. Yeah. Hopefully you guys liked looking at something a little bit new on the sort of indie front there. We are going to be back in a little second to dive into more tabletop gaming news from the wider world. See you in a swish.